It is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter Sunday. Happy Easter Sunday. How are you?
Lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me.
Come in and share the live.
Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith would be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the water.
Share the live. Happy Easter.
Call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior.
I hope that Hillsong appreciates that this is not an attempt to violate their copyright and that I just want to offer you something today that hopefully will help you and help somebody else as you come in, share the live. How are you doing today? Hi, Havis. Havis, you are first today. Happy Easter. Hi, cuz. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let us go. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Bonsoir, Rosemond. Bonsoir, my cuz. Saga Fête. Saga Fête. It is Easter Sunday. And for most of us, this is awesome. It's fabulous. We couldn't wait for Easter. Some of you joined me on Good Friday, and we talked about some traditions of Good Friday. I am so happy you're joining me tonight. I'm Dr. Triffy. I'm a licensed psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a clinical hypnotherapist and a licensed professional counselor. I teach people how to think better so they can feel better and do better. Charity begins at home, so that means I've got to use these same techniques and skills on myself because I'm a human being. I'm a human being. So, yeah, today's Easter Sunday, and very often holidays are two-sided coins, a double-edged sword for us as human beings, because on one hand, we're so excited to celebrate whatever the feast is or the celebration is, but on the other hand, for those people who might be grieving or who are missing people or experiences or things that they've lost, those holidays take on a kind of heightened sense of importance because these people are not there with you, or that experience is kind of muted because you've lost your pet, you've lost a job, you've lost a relationship, you've lost an entire a marriage. And for many of us, that is deeply painful. So today I want to talk a bit, and part of it is a selfish reason, because if you've been following me, you know that last year I endured two very significant losses. And so as a human being, a therapist, which is my job, which is what I do, as a human being who's a woman and a fiance and a wife, an ex-wife, a mom, I've been moving through grief myself. And so today I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't get away from it. Grief has a way of coming at you when you're not looking, and it comes in waves. So it's kind of like the wave does this, and then it breaks, and then crashes ashore, and you feel like, oh, I made it. But then again, when you're not looking, it's like, ooh, and then it breaks again. So today I felt the waves coming on. But everything is energy, and I know that. So I also know that I can change the energy of the grief into something else. Sometimes, many times. Sometimes it takes a lot of work. Okay. What does it mean to transmute energy? Transmute is a word that means to change the form, to change the nature of the whatever, the material. So if you look at grief as emotional energy, then I can change that powerful energy that is causing my body to react with so much pain and sadness and just heaviness. I can change it hopefully into something else. And the vibrational level that comes with grief is again is very heavy and it's lower on the totem pole. So if I do certain things, I can turn the energy back up. And that energy is lighter. So that feels in your body to be lighter and it's less painful. Why gratitude? Why do people use gratitude as a way to transmute pain energy? And when I say pain energy, again, I might be talking about an emotion like sadness, like rage, like anxiety, like frustration. We can use gratitude because gratitude really is a feeling of being thankful for what we do have in our lives. Yes, like I said, today is a day where it's loaded with the feeling of missing for those of us who have lost. But gratitude does the flip side and it tells us, or it invites us anyway, to focus on the good things in life. Second, gratitude, when we express it, when we say it out loud, when we write it out, when we speak about our gratitude to people, to other people, it has a way of making our lives feel better. And then another positive of using gratitude is it's a new behavior. It's an intentional behavior. It's a practice that we could start implementing when we start feeling those heavy, heavy emotions. And I'm promising you that the research backs this up. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with any emotion, I don't believe any emotion is bad. So I won't say to you that feeling angry is a bad thing. That's not true because there's sometimes you need your anger to protect you or to defend you or your family or your kids or your animals, your property. I'm not going to say that anxiety or fear is a bad thing either because we need that feeling sometimes to clue us in that something is not right and we need to be on guard. Same for sadness. Can you imagine if you lost a person and you were not sad? To me, that would mean there was something wrong with your personality. So there are some people among us who cannot feel sadness. And very often then these people don't know when to stop in their behavior. So they might do things to us that really hurt because they don't feel sad. Okay? Another reason, another set of reasons to do what I've invited you to do today, which is to create a gratitude list. And you could create a gratitude list like 500 things on your gratitude list. You've heard Oprah talk about keeping a gratitude journal. Okay, you've heard many people talk about keeping a gratitude journal. For people experiencing such heavy emotions, one reason to keep a gratitude journal is it helps to keep the PTSD type symptoms away from us. Because in a way, again, you get to change the energy that is so heavy and painful into something that feels actually good and light. It's another way also for you to not numb out, not dissociate. Dissociate is where some of us actually split into personalities because the pain is too much. And if that pain goes on for so long, if it's chronic, some of us might actually split, and we call that split personality or multiple personality disorder. Those are old terms, but currently you would say that person has dissociative identity disorder. Okay? On a smaller scale, I found myself numbing out today because the pain has been so intense. I'd say today it's been like an 8 out of 10. So after various attempts at trying to manage it, ooh, you know, like let me pretend this is not happening. Maybe if I go take a, like, I don't know, I'm not a drinker, but I can see how people drink. I can see how people drink because uh, it's a way to numb out. I can see how people use substances to not feel that level of pain because it's very intense. Havis, I know you play the guitar and you're into country music. If you're familiar with John Anderson, he has a song, Don't Ask Her on a Straight Tequila Night. Man, I felt today like if I was a drinker, I'd be heading for tequila. Okay? When we were in Italy, one of the nights was so painful. Look, the girls were like, "Yeah, we're gonna give you a shot tonight. We're gonna give you a shot tonight." So yeah, you want to feel what you're feeling without judging it, face it, so that you can move through it. There's no way to kind of circumvent it because even if you used tequila, you get up in the morning and you might have some ugly babies as a result of the tequila, but still the pain is there. So it's really about learning skills, learning coping skills, how to cope with the pain. Okay. So I also believe that trauma shows up, and when we do our best to move through it, move through pain, we get to transcend, which is to go higher than, and we transmute pain so we can go higher. We go higher. That means no, you learn a new skill. You become stronger. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So today is my first Easter without camps, and look, Easter holidays are like just a big thing. So imagine you're always with a person. You're with a person every day, 100 miles an hour, all day, every day. You're with a person, and then suddenly they're not there. So all the things you used to do, you can do them no more. So that energetic space is there. And so my body wanted to stay in the bed this morning, but thankfully I had planned ahead and I had scheduled, get this, a mammogram first thing in the morning. I was like, yes, I'm getting up and I'm going. I'm getting the appointment and I'm going. Okay. That was not enough though. So I had also prepared a little brunch at a place that was meaningful to us. And I got to share that experience with my niece. So there I am. I'm doing what is called behavioral activation, where I'm actually doing meaningful and valuable things that require me to move my body to get up and go out of the bed so I can move through the day. Okay. So I chose a restaurant that held memories for us and is meaningful. Okay. I chose to spend quality time with my niece, talk, catch up. I brought flowers to the grave. So that gave me a chance to connect and just kind of in a physical form feel like I was again transmuting the energy, right, of the pain, just kind of be there with him. Yeah, the person's not there physically, you can't see him, but there's a certain level of connection and connecting that I feel when I do that. So I did that. Now, after the restaurant, and you all saw the pictures I posted on my page, yeah, that pain, I'd say it was like maybe about a 7. So it went down a little bit, 7. And so I was like, okay, we got to keep managing. We got to keep going. I went to a coffee shop, right? One of our little coffee shops. Coffee was our thing. And I went to get a mocha with an extra shot of espresso, y'all. And I'm trying to drink it, but ooh, talk about drinking water falling in your drink. I was like, all right, I can't be here. I got to get up and go again. So I got into the car, went to the lake, had my little coffee. The pain went down a little bit. But again, like I said, still there. So at this point, it's like about a 6. I'm like, all right, all right, all right, all right. Let's go do a little retail therapy. So you see what I'm doing? Activity after activity after activity after activity. But I'm really trying to do it with intention. With intention. I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm feeling the pain, but I'm actively staying engaged. While I was in the store, Walgreens is the only store that'll be open on an Easter Sunday, y'all. Okay? Doing my little retail therapy, my little makeup girly stuff. I was like, okay, I think I need to go a little bigger and expand uh, my attempts to manage the pain, because if I go home now, I'm going to go in the bed and curl up into a ball. So I came to you and I said, y'all, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's talk about it, because I know many of you are also going through similar experiences. Again, you might not have lost your fiance, but you might have lost your mom 2 years ago. I was listening to this guy on TikTok. He said, man, it's been 4 years since I lost my mom. And I realized it's only now that I'm starting to even get up out of it to feel like myself again. So a lot of people have lost people this past 2 years, and the pain is significant out there. And so I'm hoping that together we can talk about gratitude. Yeah. After this live, if it's still feeling like a 7 or a 6, look, I think I will. There's no tequila in the house. I can't do the tequila. I think I might have to do a little melatonin. My sister and my niece have prescribed melatonin when I want to go off to sleep. So that might be my default after this. Let me take some of your questions and your observations before I start teaching you a process you can use to move through, okay? To squeeze the pain out and to get the good juice. Squeeze the old yucky juice and get the creme de la creme, okay, at the top that you can use to transcend trauma, to go higher, to transmute the pain. Okay, Havis, you say you're going to play that guitar in ATL and I'm going to sing. Yeah, you're a big country music fan. I've been thinking maybe we should get together online and do a sing along. Get the people who like to sing and like to play. Let's do a sing along. Good night, cuz. You said keep up the good work, helping people get on the right track. Yes, thank you so much. I'll talk about. Seems like you want me to talk about mental and verbal and physical abuse. I can do that in subsequent sessions. Absolutely. Somebody wants to know, how do you differentiate between behavior activation and pain bypassing? That's a beautiful question. Okay, so the difference is intention. The difference is intention. I think so. In dialectical behavior therapy, which is DBT, which is a standard for teaching people how to regulate their emotions, one of the tools is distraction, where you actively distract your brain from focusing on the pain. Because the thing is, you could sit for a whole day or lie down in the bed for a whole day just with the weight of the loss on you. That's one way to do it. That's one way to do it. But a day has 24 hours. So can you imagine if you spent all 24 hours just with no other activity but your brain doing this ruminating, this loop, this continuous loop of intrusive thoughts and memories and perhaps flashbacks of what they looked like in their coffin, or what they looked like after the accident that took them, or whatever memories come to us when we think about our traumatic events in our life. So one way to do it is actually just sit and just feel the pain. The thing is, and I realize that pain never goes away. It really never goes away. You're doing other things on purpose to give your brain on purpose something else to do, but you're doing something that is meaningful and valuable for you. So you're not bypassing the pain, you're living life. So me going to the restaurant this morning with my niece and engaging in conversation is not pretending the pain is not there, because in conversation you're acknowledging you're hurting, yeah, but you're also continuing to live life. You're continuing to move through. Some people can do a bypassing, which is the numbing, where they pretend they're not in pain. And some people around us like to encourage us or invite us to pretend we're not hurting, or that we should have stopped hurting already, so that they can feel better. They can feel less anxious, because that means if you're doing fine 4 months after you lost your fiance, if you're doing great 4 months after you've lost your mom, then they don't have to worry about us. So it's kind of a survival thing, I think many people do, where they kind of try to rush you through. I saw Moki post something a few days ago, where he said something like, one of the ways to find out, like, who are your people, in a way, is to lose somebody close to you. Because what happens is the rest of the world moves on. And it's not a bad thing. He wasn't saying it like to judge the people who move on. We do have to move on. Even the person in grief has to move on. It's just that realistically, it takes so much longer than the observers wish it would. And the person too, the person suffering too. So Moki said, Alan Moki Havis, you said, are there people who do suffer trauma or pain of death? My parents are dead and I wish they were here, but I have no pain or trauma of their death. I do miss them, but I've never cried for them. I never, one second. I do cherish the precious memories, but like the country music. Okay. So everybody's different, right? Everybody's different, Avis. I would investigate that. When I say investigate it, I mean, like, just kind of think about it. Maybe you had enough time to process, like to think about their death. A frog is in my throat. To process their death. If your parents live to be older in age, you kind of have time to see them declining, so to speak, right? Like leaving. So you have time to come to terms with the fact that they're not going to be here. You have time to make the circle complete. Will the circle be unbroken? Yeah. You say your every time you visit them, you realize this might be the last time I see them. So you're very intentional with them. All your music. I saw you with your dad, where you'd go visit him and you all would sing and play the guitar. I have a feeling every time you left, you were like, man, this might be the last time I see my dad. So you said everything you needed to say. When we have that opportunity to grieve like that, that's an easier or less challenging grief process for the most part than people who maybe have sudden deaths or traumatic deaths, because then their grief becomes traumatic grief. They were just not expecting this, or the way their person died was really shocking. So it's really an individual process. Ramona, I think that's you. I think there is validity in sitting with the pain and actually feel it, even if that means feeling it for 24 hours with intention. Then I can decide how to move into the next day. The issue is when people move too quickly and try to pacify rather than face the pain head on. Again, I think that's an individual process. Okay, grieving is individual. Um, it can become complicated when we ignore it or when we try to move, like you're saying. I don't know about too quickly. When you say too quickly, perhaps you're meaning um, hurry up and get well already. That kind of sense that some people, like get over it already. No, that is not good. That is not good. Everybody has their own timetable for how they'll process grief. We in psychology will say that a behavior, so that's sitting for 24 hours with intention, if that begins to impact your life in a negative way, for example, if sitting with intention for one day turns into 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, and it starts interfering with your relationships or your work life or your physical health, that's when you start saying, like, okay, this is an issue. But I'm sure there are some days where um, you just, hey, especially in the beginning, when grief is fresh, you're just laid out. Your body won't even let you get up. Your body will not even let you get up. So, I mean, I have energy in my body now, but first 6 weeks, no. I wanted to be in the bed, and it was all I could do to get up. Again, because life must go on. If you are, say, a single mom with kids, you've got to get up. You might not have those 24 hours of intention. You got to take the kids to school, or you've got, depending on the work you're doing, you've got to get up and go to work. Sometimes your bosses, the people you work with, don't really understand. So some people want you to come back to work after 2 weeks. But when you have the opportunity, yeah, there's a lot to be said for sitting with the feelings, sitting on purpose with intention. If that works for you, 24 hours, at some point, hopefully you'll sleep, because even then, if sleep becomes impacted, then we might start worrying. Okay. But I hear what you're saying, that it is important to not avoid your pain. And again, it's very hard to avoid the pain, because one of the experiences I've been having is, yes, I'm busy doing other things, but the pain is there. It doesn't go away. It's resting in your body, but the intensity level is less, because your brain has to focus on some additional tasks or different tasks. So it is not only focused on the sorrow that you're experiencing. Um, I think there are times, Ramona, where I am. I think it's a good thing and a healthy thing to really, yes, practice that mindfulness of emotion, where you're just sitting with yourself and observing what you're feeling. No judgment, just feeling it, just feeling it, just feeling it. hmm But at some point, again, life must continue. We have things to do. And I am just completely against the idea of people they try giving you these little hints like, yeah, man, you're okay. You should be okay. Well, why? No, you're not. There's no should in that. And really, no. And I know myself, I will know when I'm okay. Yeah. So, Hevis, you said your parents lived to be 89 and 91, and I saw their decline. That is why you went to Atlanta to play the guitar. That's a beautiful thing, because, again, this was you facing the pain of losing them, even though it was a gradual process. You were facing your pain and transmuting the energy, because I bet you if you had gone, maybe for you, Havis, and just sat and all you did was just sit, it might have felt more painful than the times when you did have your guitar and you guys could be singing, creating joy, even though you're still acknowledging your pain that you see them transitioning and leaving. It's a process, and that's a gift. I think it's a gift when our parents get to go that way, or the people in our lives get to go in that way. Hi, TCA La Rose says, I have a friend that keeps telling me it's time that I forget and move on. Every time that friend visits me, they always seem to find me sad or crying. I guess that's the reason why this person wants me to move on already, to satisfy their ego. I told them it takes time to overcome. It's not that easy, especially when it's your mom and you were close. You're 100% right, TZA. Again, I think our friends think they're caring about us. And watching us suffer, watching the people you love suffer, your friends suffer, is hard for many people. And it makes them uncomfortable. They feel uncomfortable with it. So they're trying to ease their own anxiety when they tell you, hey, let it go already. Let it go already. I start kind of guarding my energy. I start guarding my energy around people like that. And I start deciding how often I see them, because it's heavy enough, the burden in my body. I don't want to also be arguing with a person and trying to prove to them that I'm in suffering. So I'm just saying that, and you make your decision about that. But I'm saying that's what I do. The first few months, like, I just decided, okay, there were some people who I knew were my core people, because these core people, they were calling, they were checking in, they were, I could feel their energy around me. And there were there were friends, there were people I knew, but they were not necessarily calling or paying attention a lot. Well, to save my energy in a way, actually just kind of closed the circle around myself. And the people who were in, the people who were out were out. But I was doing that to guard my energy, because with some people, it felt too disruptive when they would, they just show up out of the blue. It was too much for me. And so you have to learn what works for you as the person who's going through the grief, to see, are some people pulling your energy? Are you finding that you have to be the one helping them feel better? No, we're not doing that. Well, I'm not doing that. I don't think that's the way that energy should flow. Okay? Your friends ought to really come in to support you when you are the one going through a loss, not the other way around. You ought not to be the one to make them feel better. Yes, Ramona, you said that's what you meant, even 20 minutes. Yeah, I think that's good. You just sit and you feel what you feel. Heavy says, spend less time with people like that. You have a colleague who lost their mom to cancer, and you told her to take as long as she needs and never hesitate to call. Absolutely, because you're essentially healing. You are healing. It's like it's an unseen wound. Somebody tore you. It feels like you were rend apart. It feels like a knife slashed you somewhere on the inside. And sometimes I close my eyes and I can almost visualize the wound on the inside. So this energetic space is healing, okay? And you have to give it that kind of attention and not expect that other people understand it, because if they're not having a similar experience, sometimes it's hard for people to relate. And even though you and your sister or your brother lost the same parent, sometimes you're different people, so you're going to have completely different experiences. And it is okay. Your job, though, in those times is to really take care of yourself first. Yourself first. Edith, you said it was very painful when your mother died in this tragedy. You lost 10 pounds in 2 days. And you remember somebody telling you 1 week after your mom passed to stop crying. It's really heartless. Some people are really heartless, or they're just ignorant, as in not knowing. They just don't understand. It's 9 years and I have not come back to reality. So, Edith, I completely understand what you're saying. And again, I want to be compassionate towards the people who say that to people who are grieving, as in, get over it already. Or they bring up really random, weird stuff, where you find yourself having to defend yourself, or it's really like layering the pain. And in a way, that's an assessment. It gives you an opportunity to assess people, like, how much of this do I need? Not right now. There's sometimes we don't need everybody in our lives. There are some people who are good for certain things in our lives, but some people are not always the best when it comes to supporting you through grief. Good evening, Jackie from Tarpon Springs. Tarpon Springs is lovely. I love that little dock down there. I love Tarpon Springs. Heavy says, people need to practice the 3 H's of grieving: hush, hugs, and hang around. Hush, as in be there with your friend. Just call, just check in. You don't have to say, do this, do that. Just call and talk. Yeah, ask them questions. How are you feeling? What has it been like for you? Hugs, that warm touch, where the other person knows you're there. Your friend knows you're there for them. Sometimes just holding somebody's hand and hanging around, not escaping because you're feeling uncomfortable that they're in pain. I don't know that that's friendship. I can't lean into that as friendship. Your friend is in suffering and you're not checking in on them. I can't get with that. Sorry. Yeah. So there's a grief process that uses gratitude a lot. And I invited some of you to make your list. What are you grateful for? Think of at least 5 things you feel grateful for about that experience, about that loss, about that experience. Yes, you might have lost it now, but what are you grateful for about having had that job that you lost, or that pet, that dog that died and you were so attached to that dog? What are you grateful for? It hurts now, but what are you grateful for about your mother, your father, your husband, your fiance, your marriage, your relationship that broke up? What are you grateful for? Everything wasn't bad. What are you grateful for? We must do this work. It's like you got to squeeze it out, or else everything just stays kind of like in a ball of confusion. Squeeze it out to identify what felt good, what did not feel good. What is the lesson? What am I keeping? What am I leaving? Or else, like I said, it stays kind of like just a, oh my God, I'm just, no, intentionally take the time to identify the gifts and the strengths and the positives, because those are the pieces of the experience, including the traumatic event, that you will take and move forward with in life. That's how you transcend trauma. That's how you go higher. That's how you use pain to grow. That's how you use pain to grow. So Dr. Pat Allen, my teacher extraordinaire, is the one I learned this tool from. She says, write a letter with 5 paragraphs. 5 paragraphs. And y'all, if you've never done this, I'm inviting you to do it. This is free strategy, free coping skills. This can heal your life. Okay? Paragraph 1. And like I said, we're talking about any loss. Any loss of a friend from high school that you still cannot get over all the way. Paragraph 1, what were the most painful parts of that friendship? Huh? What did you just not like about that relationship that just hurt you so much? Okay, even with our parents are not perfect. What felt very painful for you? And then what felt joyful, awesome, exciting, beautiful? And it could be a person who you ended up and you've never spoken to them again. But everything has its good and its bad, its positive and its negative. Then you want to find out, or you want to write out, based on that experience, because that's all our life is, experiences. Based on that, what do I want moving forward? Even if it's one thing, what do you want moving forward? What do you want? Based on that experience with this dog, based on that experience being pregnant, even if I had a miscarriage, I want this. I want to eat better. I want to plan better, whatever it is. And what do you not want? I never want to feel the pain of a miscarriage again. I never want to be involved in a situation that was so stressful that I had to have an abortion. Okay? That is what you would not want or you could not want. Okay? And then finally, you might have more than one, but your job, in my view, or else life is just meaningless. It's as if we're just walking around. In Dominica, we say you're just walking around like buenas, like as if you have no purpose, no point. Find the lesson, find the lessons of that experience for you. You don't need anybody else's permission or their understanding. It's you doing your own review of that experience. Okay? So essentially, you are focusing on the positive in the end. So you're ending on the positive, okay? When you're looking for the lessons. So let me see what Jackie says. Jackie says, it's my anniversary, wow, of my dad passing for 25 years, and I was grieving all week last week. Someone came to sit with me for 4 to 5 days to keep me company without me asking them. I was so grateful. Thankfully, I feel better today. I helped serve a meal that I cooked for my family to escape just in case. I was afraid of being home alone today. Jackie, I completely understand the feeling afraid to be alone today, because you know there's almost like a line, like the floor. There's a flooring in grief, and if the flooring gives way, you feel as if you're going into the abyss, and it's so much emotional energy to climb back up. And this is important. It's important because it is so much easier to climb up from the flooring than if you fall into the basement. So that's why behavioral activation, that's why writing out your thoughts, that's why getting support, all of those things are so important, because when we fall through, it is so much harder to climb back up. Okay? Ramona, you're asking if I could put that in the tribe? Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jackie, those anniversaries are very loaded and they hurt. We hurt a lot as we move through these anniversaries. And like you said, 25 years. 25 years. But if you have a friend who's not thinking about you, or a spouse, or like, they can be very dismissive. They could be quite dismissive. So I think too, it's important for us to share with our friends that we need their support. Let your friends know, hey, I need my friends around me right now. I really need you all to stay close because we have to communicate too. Now, if people don't take us up on our request for help, I think we start closing the circle around ourselves. Just let people weed themselves out. And you've been grieving all week. I am so grateful and thankful for that person who came to be with you. Like Heavy says, you don't have to come and do anything major. Just come and hang around. The hugs and the person in grief is not asking you to fix it. And you're not going to die if you watch them struggle emotionally. They got it. They're not going to kill themselves, except if they tell you they're feeling suicidal. Okay? And it's important to learn and to practice how to bear each other's burdens, how to be there in a real way for people when they're in suffering. Okay? In a real way when they're in suffering. Ramona says, yes, Ramona, our body holds pain that's connected to particular landmarks of time and events. Okay? If you want to read a book on that, it's by Bessel van der Kolk called The Body Keeps the Score. It's like the body keeps a record. It's like it keeps a record. Many things happen to us in childhood, and we don't have any conscious recollection of it, but our bodies do. Okay? Our bodies do. So, what are some of the lessons you have learned from some of your losses? Type those in the chat for me, please. What are some of the lessons you have learned from painful events in your life? After you go through it, okay, and you identify the things that were really painful about having a dog. Man, I hated getting up in the morning to go out in the middle of winter to walk you. Right? I prefer to be in bed sleeping than to be going outside walking a dog. Yeah, that's the pain. But the joy is, but I loved coming home and the puppy jumping on me. And I could feel that friendship. I could feel that support, that cuddly, warm, whatever. Okay? So, Ramona says, good friends. Oh, yes, good friends. Good friends. Not all friends are good friends. Some people don't know how to be really friends and supportive. Again, a lot of us, we're very self-focused, and we like it when people are there for us, but we can't necessarily be there for other people. Good friends are important. A friend traveled hundreds of miles to be with me a couple of years ago when I was going through a rough patch. And you feel forever indebted to her because you know how much of a difference that made to you. And that's why that is so important. That's why that is so important. And I bet she didn't come there telling you, do this, do that, stop crying. No, that's enough. Nah, she came and she did those 3 H's that Havis talked about. Shh. Yeah, tread lightly. Hugs, be there, touch, just kind of ask how they can support you, and then hang around. Be there. If you say you are a friend, be there when the people you call your friends are hurting. Or else you're an acquaintance. You're just another acquaintance. And, 20 people, we don't have to have a circle of 20, but, a nice little circle, 3, 4, 5, 6 of people that they got your back and they're really checking in on you. It's a big deal. Okay? It means the world. It means the world. So, Petra, here's some of the lessons Petra says she got. Cherish every moment. Look, this is my biggest lesson of my life, really, of my life. Life is shorter than we wish it was. And that's the truth. Life is way shorter than we wish it was. And so cherish every moment. As best as we can, try to do things that we want to be doing. Like this live, I want to be doing it. If I had to do it for money and somebody had to be saying, yeah, you got to show up at this time and do that, I wouldn't want to do it. I would not want to do it. I want to do this if I want to do it, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. I want nobody telling me how, when, if, when, or, Mm-mm. So cherish the moments of your life. Decide how you will live your life. Whose life is it? Your life. And a lot of people will try to sneak in and even try to convince you that your life belongs to them. Never. Okay? Never. Ramona says, I learned that I was stronger than I thought. I learned how to love me again. Ooh, I was stronger than I thought. I think sometimes in our minds, we think painful events will be too much for us. And then when we start actually living it and walking through it, you're like, hey, I got no choice here, but I do have a choice. Again, I could let the bottom fall out and go into the abyss, or I could stabilize myself. I could learn how to stabilize myself with prayer, meditation, talking, using these tools, transmuting the energy. Yeah, I'm hurting inside, but I'm still managing. Okay, I'm still living. And so we do that long enough, and the flooring kind of like it stops penching. Pencher means bending and leaning and careening off the oh Lord, oh, right? It stabilizes. Heavy says, I've learned from painful events in my life that talking about it with a trusted friend or a counselor is paramount. Talking, huh? Talking is one way to transmute pain energy, okay? Even better with a trusted friend, because it could be very damaging and we could actually, the bottom could fall out if we're talking with somebody who's not worth the trust, okay? Or a counselor. Counselor is great because they're trained and they're objective and they know what they're doing and they can support you. Ramona says all the H's. TCA says live life doing the things who loves you love. Live life doing the things you love. So both you and Ramona, you're talking about really then paying attention to yourself and learning, right? Learning and deciding, what do I really love? Who am I? Where do I end and other people begin? Where are my real boundaries? What do I really like? And once you identify it, boop, 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 to keep doing it. Petra, you say you still miss your dad after 24 years. So you tell people to love their parents forever, even if they hurt you. Yeah. We have to find ways to heal those, try our best to heal those relationships. Having good memories of your parents are priceless, especially life lessons taught. Yeah, they're priceless. They are priceless. So, I'll share some of my top gifts of the kid's father, who I married when we were, mid-20s. We were babies, yeah, young people. I think I'm very grateful for the gift of his family and his kids because I'm still connected to them. They're lovely people. And I've known them since I was 26, and they're still lovely and wonderful and kind and connected. I am grateful for the gift of his sense of humor. Yeah, and a big wide smile. I'm grateful for the gift of his friends, many of whom are still now my friends. I'm grateful for the gift of his connection to our kids. And of course, and most importantly, I am grateful for the gift of our children. My top five for Campy are: I'm grateful for the gift of his boys because I feel like I have a big piece of him still left. So he continues through them. I'm grateful for the gift of his personality. I mean, he's full of fire, like rhino bull energy, very courageous. Um, and I learned from him like how to handle conflict, I guess, because I don't like conflict. Conflict isn't necessarily fighting, but I think growing up in not Caribbean, but Dominica, in the house I grew up in, it was not a value to fight or argue or um, be confrontational. Okay, so, but you have to face conflict in life. Conflict helps us to grow and sharpen. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for the gift of a relationship that went through the 5 stages. So when I'm talking about the relationship, masculine and feminine energy, when I talked about Dr. Harville Hendricks and that book they wrote called Getting the Love You Want, where they talk about 5 stages in a relationship that starts off with like, oh, lovey-dovey roses, flowers, whatever, but hey, then you start coming to the uncomfortable parts and you got to make a choice. Do I stay or do I go? And if I decide I'm going to stay, then now I have to do the work to learn my unconscious patterns and my mate's unconscious patterns that we don't even know. We're not even seeing. We're not even trying to hurt each other, but they're going to show up because that's just how relationships are. And to have the courage to do that work, actually do the work, actually start implementing the new habits, the new techniques, the new skills, so that you can come back around and you can really start liking your person again, not just liking, but I think loving in a fuller sense of the word, where you accept them as they are, but you love them anyway. You accept them as they are, but you love them anyway. So I feel like that helped me as a human being grow up. Like I really feel like a guafam right now, where I'm less into the fairy tale idea of relationships and I'm more interested in learning a person as another person, as a human being, not expecting that anybody is going to come perfect. That does not exist. It's kind of crazy, really, to think that that's a thing. But many of us are taught that if they love you, it'll just work out. If you love them, it'll just work out. That everything's supposed to be like this. That's not true. That's just not true. Another gift was the gift of himself as a real human being, again, who was not perfect, but was willing to work at it, was willing to work at it. You call that trainability or having a growth mindset. So where you're not stuck and like, I'm good. A lot of our people, they'll be like, I don't have anything else to learn. What relationships? I know what to do. I think they're confused with just the piece of relationships that is chemistry. Yes, you've known what to do since you were maybe 14, 16 with the chemistry piece, but do you know how to communicate? Do you know how to ask for what you want? Ask for what you need? Do you know how to keep doing that in a loving and fair way so that you can navigate with me, with your mate, how to become a better fit? And finally, for me, the gift of just being loved by another human being, who was willing to use his words. A man. Many men don't want to talk. They don't want to talk. Fellas, y'all got to talk more, because it's the talking that's like the grease. The talking is like the grease, because the wheel will stop working, you know? It'll start squeaky. It's like WD-40, the communication. So you have to learn that. And if you don't know how to do it well, you're not weird. Most of us don't know how to do it well. I still struggle with communication, because I want to go back to my childhood way of just like maybe stumping off, right? Or shutting down, or going under the bed and hide, or pretending it doesn't exist. All of those are ways where we don't communicate properly. So, yeah. My biggest lesson, I'll come to in a second. Hivis, you said, question. People who did not have a good relationship with a loved one, and that loved one died, do they process the guilt, the grief with guilt? They might never be at peace. Hivis, yes. Hivis, yes. This is called complicated grief. A lot of people struggle to heal from death and loss because there's a lot of unfinished business. They did not take the opportunity to communicate their true feelings, their thoughts, what made them happy, what made them sad. And a lot of people, more people than need to, allow the people they love to die. And sometimes, even when they see they're going down, even when they see their person is sick, a lot of people will just refuse to talk about it. This is not a value. This is not a strength. This is a weakness. This is a weakness, because we're body, mind, spirit, and your spirit part of you will struggle, because it's like you'll have an open wound for a long time. There are ways in therapy to help you heal that, but you might go through so much more suffering than you need to, as opposed to if you just talk already, just communicate already. And back to the idea of vulnerability and feeling like, oh, sharing all feelings is like only girls talk about their feelings. Maybe some of the men might be thinking that. That makes very little sense, and that's not smart. That's not a smart position, because you're a human being. You're a human being. So we all need to do a better job, I think, in communicating our thoughts and feelings. It is also important to learn your weak points. Like, again, for me, I know some of mine. I'll be like, look, enough already, and I'll shut it down. I'll just be like, that's too much emotional stimulation for me. My brain gets flooded, and I start feeling like, oh my God, too much work. And I might stop talking. It's called stonewalling. It's not a good thing. Some of us are defensive before a person says, hey, I didn't feel good when you did this. We start coming up with, oh, but, what do you mean? That's defensive, okay? That might be a good topic for this Thursday. Some of those really, like, they will wreck any relationship between parents, kids, spouse, whatever, friends. Not good. These ways of communicating, I will give you some better ways, some more efficient ways to do it than that. Because those things, when you have a mate, and again, me, I can be like that. I'm telling on myself, but I'm a human being. Look, I will just get quiet. How many of you do that? I'll just stop talking. But if you stop talking, there is zero chance on hell or heaven, on earth or sky, that you will make progress. When we stop talking, we are like halted. Okay? Halted. It's great in a in a union when you have at least one person who talks a lot and somebody else who doesn't talk, because sometimes that one that talks a lot might be able to help the other one. But sometimes, if both of you kind of coming from that's kind of like a very feminine on the other side response. Because remember, masculine energy comes forward, will address the issue, will pursue the issue. So that is distorting of the feminine energy when I do this shutdown thing. Instead, I should say, hey, I want to talk about this. This is my thought. This is my feeling on it. Can we do it in a different way? Yeah, that takes a lot of energy for a lot of us. Okay. But when you have two people who are not talking much, both of them in their feminine. All right. Not good. Somebody's got to switch around and decide to initiate. Okay. Let me take a couple questions or comments. Edith says, I learned how to cherish every moment spent with friends, family, and loved ones. I spoke to my mom 1 minute, and the next minute she was gone in a fire. I lost my mom, everything I owned. So that's another loss. You lose your mom, you lose your house, you also lose all your possessions. I was left with only what I wore at the time. I'm so sorry, Edith. I'm grateful for my little son, who I had to be strong for. I can imagine how many days the only reason you got up was because of him. I'm grateful for great family because they mean so much to me. Oh, like many, many, many parents, it's our kids who end up actually saving our lives, emotionally. Because we must get up and go. Many of our kids are the reason we pull ourselves out of depressive states, because they got to go to school. So where if we didn't have kids, we would be laid up in the bed for 24 hours, moans. No, we got to get up and take them to preschool. When we have puppies and cats, animals, that's another way that we pull ourselves, well, they pull us up out of depression and the inertia that comes with depression and the lack of energy and the low motivation when we're very depressed and overburdened and overwhelmed. Okay, so I can see how having your son was a reason, like it gave you a little bit more energy each day to get up and out, to keep living life. So you could stabilize that flooring of your life instead of like going all the way down into the abyss. But I promise you, like today, again, I'm trying my best to stay aware, because with my mom, I went through the floor. With my mother, I busted through the flooring. And it took 16 years to climb up out of that all the way. And so that is an experience. So I'm grateful for that experience, because it prepped me for these experiences. And so I know I must do a lot of things, hence my behavioral activation, including my travel therapy and my doing. I must do a lot of positive things to keep me from being with myself for too long, so that I don't keep ruminating and just like, again, I'm Dominican, so I keep saying these words, and I grew up in country with whoop. So the word in Dominica is enfondé. Eh? you just loses the foundation. Okay. So, but the thing is, you want to know that you're not helpless. You're not helpless against these powerful emotions. There are things you can actually do, knowing why you're doing it, so that you can get more of the results you're looking for. You might not get 100% of the results you're looking for. Like today, like I said, I went from an 8 to a 7, maybe a 6 at points. Like right now, I'd say I'm at like a 4, which is excellent. Excellent, because I'm serious. If I was feeling like back at an 8 or 7, I swear I was going to go take some melatonin and just, I'll see you in the morning. Okay? Because it's just It's very painful. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, man. I feel like a guafam because it was not easy. It was not easy. It was very painful moving through those cycles, those stages. Very painful, you know. Um, but we crested, and I love that we did because that feels like another gift. Absolutely, where I'm like, at least that circle made its way all the way around. Okay. You said talk chicken, talk palate. Ramona, yes, guilt makes people grieve. Guilt is a kind of guilt is hard, you know, guilt is very heavy. Guilt is very heavy, especially when we think we've lost the opportunity to say I'm sorry or to make up, to atone. Because these are all processes in living, in daily living, that are very important. They bring us back to the flooring again, right? Like stabilization emotionally. Okay. Um, from the playground, they tell you at least say you're sorry because that brings the person back to a certain sense of wholeness. Mhm. Even in some contracts, if a person breaks a contract, sometimes they'll say, well, you've got to figure out how to make the other person whole. Okay, and that comes with negotiating. Okay, will you take this? Is this going to be enough? What skill do you need for that? Your tongue, communication. Okay, so we all have to work better, work to become better at the way we are communicating what we're thinking about, what we're feeling, and what we want. Because even after we say that, the other person still gets to say yes, no, maybe, I'm on board, I'm not on board. So it's very clunky. If you think about it, it's a lot of different pieces moving when you're communicating. Because you could talk, you could be, how many of you talk? You talk, and you swear the other person doesn't understand what you just said. Okay? Because we might be talking, but there's no communication happening. We have to have that two-way. I give, you receive. No, you give, I receive, and I send it back. Okay? So that's a powerful, and that's the WD-40 of being a human being. Because it's not just in relationships that we have to communicate. You have to communicate with your supervisor, with the police officer on the street, with your sister when your mother dies. Who's getting what? No, I want that. Oh, she said I needed to get this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, you have to communicate. So I think that I will talk about the topic is in my head is like the four horsemen of I think of them as the antichrist of communication. Like they will jack us up, they will get in the way, and these are not things that you can see or touch, so they are harder to keep or grasp on. But when we're paying more attention, being more intentional, when I say that, I mean know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So we're not just talking, we're not just saying stuff without care for the other people around us. I'm just going to say what's on my heart because that's what's on my heart. Okay, you can, but do you want the relationship with them the next day? Because if you do, you will change what you're saying and how you're saying it. And if you refuse to learn how to do it better, that might mean you don't really want relationship with these people around you. You don't care. And if you don't care, leave them alone. Because it's very painful being on the receiving end of behavior that feels like a person doesn't care about me. Okay? So, yeah. Um, Irene, you are late but present. Better late than never. Ramona says she loves her 24 hours. Okay, you. We all know what we need. Listen, you are the expert on yourself. Okay? You are the expert on yourself. It took me a while as a therapist to realize that just because I was seeing something one way and I knew this would work because I had seen it, I knew it would work because I'd seen it work with 20, 30, 40 people, that when I presented it to this new person that it would work. No, not always, because we are all different. And everybody, the trick is to become an expert on yourself, as that's your job. You got to become a detective first about yourself. Learn yourself. That way, you know, yeah, when I do it like that, I feel like this. That's your job. When you come to a therapist in therapy, most therapists will teach you that you are the expert. We're here, yes, to be kind of like a sounding board. We help you with the way we question you, actually come up with your solutions, kind of reason through your thoughts, roll your thoughts around in your head again, so that you yourself come to see, maybe that doesn't work. Maybe, and then we might offer you some options that work for many other people. But again, if those things work for 5,000 other people, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So you have to be the expert on yourself. Nato, you're grateful for your siblings that your mother blessed you with. They're the source of your strength. Oh, social support. The way she loved other people and welcomed strangers. Oh, that love energy was transferred to me. I love people the same way. And I've made quite a lot of great friends who have helped me in my dark moments. Ooh, you have learned how to create a support team. I'm grateful for her passion for the Creole language. Yes, Mo. It inspired me to learn French, right? A foreign language, and to become fluent in it now. I'm grateful for her strength and how she stood for her family in every way. And lastly, you're grateful. Okay, Nats, I got to see the rest. I would love to see the rest. Oh, there's so much in that. Tizier, where you are able to clearly identify those gifts from that powerful and meaningful relationship. And see, that's what so there you are, right? Because what you could do is you could focus on the fact that your mom is gone. And the thing is, that's going to come. I know it's going to come. It's unavoidable. Those thoughts about that must come. I'm saying when they come more and more, remind yourself with your gratitude list. You know what? I miss my mother so much in this moment. And yet, I'm so grateful for the passion she put in me for Creole language. I'm so grateful she put so much effort into giving me that gift before she transitioned. I'm so grateful that she nurtured and she fostered that loving relationship with my siblings. That way we have each other to lean on. Yes, she might be gone, but I'm so grateful for that kind of way she loved other people, that I got to see that. And now I get to use those skills and create my own network like she did. That's what we do. That's how we transmute the pain energy, because the pain energy stays with you when you'll catch yourself. You must. That's just how it is. You will catch yourself. Man, you feel the pain in your body. Oh my God. If she was here, this is what we'd be doing. I'm missing her so much. This feels so horrible. It feels horrible. You just balance it. Now you pull out from your back pocket those things you've identified, those gifts you've identified, to like, boom, okay, we're not afford weighing, because as I keep thinking about, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's like the floor. But the floor starts doing this again when you start remembering, okay, boom, thank you, boom, thank you, boom, thank you, boom. And pretty soon we start feeling better. and better and better and better. Okay. I also think when we identify those gifts and those positives, they almost become tangible because next week it's going to be easier for you now that you've identified this. Boom, 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 boom. You start spitting this out. That becomes a new solidified part of your life experience now. You're clear on this. You're clear on this. I feel the pain. I'm so sad right now, but still I'm grateful for. Okay? Still I'm grateful for. Irene, it's hard to hear. Yeah, it's hard to hear anything about mommy. I can't stop crying. I totally can understand that. I can totally understand that. And we cry until we don't cry anymore. And that's kind of hard, Irene, because 25 years later, like Jackie said, you probably will still be crying at certain points. Okay? What we start doing right now is we start identifying, okay, what were the joys of this relationship? What am I grateful for? What am I happy about? What felt so good when she was here or my life with her? Also, what felt bad? Because we're alive, there will have been some things in our relationship, something she said to me that I really didn't like, what she said, or how she did, or I wish she had done this differently. Identify that too. Then you want to identify, based on that awesome relationship with her, what do you never want to experience, or what do you not want to experience in this life? State your intention. Many people say the universe rushes to help us when we state our intentions. Okay? Say it out loud, write it down. And what do I not want? What do I never want to experience? What do I want to experience? Finally, what are the lessons? What are the lessons for me from having had this beautiful relationship with this fabulous soul? So she came, she did her job. I told Whoop that when I went down to Dominica, I said, Whoop, ou fait travail ou bon. You understand? You were a gift to a little girl as a dad. You've done your work well as a parent. Mm-hmm. And you want to pull apart, well, where did he do his work well? Yeah, you gave me freedom. This man taught me to whistle in a culture where, and he was so sneaky with it. So I'll tell you the story, right? So growing up in Dominica, at the time that I grew up in Dominica, girls were not supposed to whistle. But there we go, a man that's training a girl to be a warrior, a fighter. He would do this. We'd be out changing the cows or the goats or whatever, and he'd do this, right? And he would show me how to whistle. I can whistle to almost any song right now. And he knew what he was doing because he was winking at me. Okay. And my mom would be like, why are you doing this? Why are you teaching her to whistle? You must stop. And he'd be like, and he'd teach me to whistle, right? Just so grateful for the kind of, for the flooring he provided for me to be a free girl, like just to be, if I wanted to do boy things, I could do boy things. If I wanted to do girl things, I could do girl things. I don't remember him being a critical dad at all. Like, I think I was spoiled, but spoiled with love, because I wasn't a crazy little kid either. I wasn't one of baby's kids. Yeah. So he's been a gift. Irene says, I want to be grateful for so many things, but they are the same things that I miss and make me grieve. I hear that. Yeah, that must feel, that's part of what Irene earlier I was saying. One of the things that happens when we are not yet able to, or when we don't, separate the joys of the relationship from the pain of the relationship, the things we want based on the relationship, the things we don't want, the lessons. When we don't pull it apart, it all stays together like a big blob. And that big blob is painful. Okay? It stays just like a ball of pain. So that's why I want you to, as challenging as it might feel right now, there is a lot of value in separating it. Write Mo a letter. Okay? You can do whatever you want with it. The first paragraph are the joys of your relationship with her. I don't care how much bawling you bawl. I don't care how many times you have to do it until you don't bawl. The joys of the relationship. Second paragraph, the pains of the relationship, the things you wish had been different. Then, based on your relationship with her, what do you want as you keep moving forward in life? It might be that I want to feel joy again. Based on the fact that I saw how joyful you were in your life, even though you had experienced pain, I want to do that too. And you might not feel it today, but it's okay to say what you want. Whatever you want, you want. And based on the fact that I am hurting so much as I lose you in the way that I lost you, I really wish I never have to go through a sudden death or a quick death like that again. It's okay to say that. It's okay to express it. What you want, you want. We don't always get what we want, but we have to say what we want. Okay? And then identify the lessons. I am so grateful for. Thank you for. Boom. And if it's 100 that come out of you, it's 100. Look, this little phone right here in your note section, if you don't want to write it down, just speak it out. Just when you're feeling overwhelmed, start speaking it out, because that's how you are. See, that energy that if you don't do something about it, because that's the grief recovery piece. All of us grieve after we lose people we love, but you don't want to keep grieving without doing something. So the recovery part comes when you start doing these processes, or else, like I said, the flooring, you will just feel like it's a bottomless pit of pain. So this is one of the ways you start stitching your heart back together again. Like there's a piece of, for me anyway, of the grieving process where I'm almost mad that I have to stitch it back together again. Like almost like there's a part of me that just wants to feel the pain, like just forever. And I don't know what that's about. Like maybe, like there might be a piece of fear in me that, okay, does that mean when I start feeling better, does that mean I am over them? Nah, it didn't. That wasn't how it was with my mom. I remember when I started feeling like that, when I was like, oh, does feeling better mean I don't love her? That she's gone out of my life forever? Like she's really died if I start feeling better. So I had to work through that. And I promise you, nah, it doesn't mean you love her less. The love you feel for her actually grows, it changes. Me, I depend on my mom in ways that I couldn't depend on her when she was alive. Why do I say that? I say that because I can talk to her and in my mind, I feel like I get her response. Okay? So I feel like she's a lot more accessible to me on a spiritual level than how she could be accessible to me when she was in physical form. Okay? So that's what your sister is encouraging you to do. Okay, Irene? Yeah. So, lessons. My biggest lesson from essentially, I'll give you my biggest lesson, and it's a common theme. It's the same theme with all of the losses, right? If somebody loves you, if somebody truly loves you, they will make an effort. When you tell them something is not feeling good for you, or you don't like a thing, If a person really loves you, they're going to make an effort. I promise you this. Okay? As you move through your life, understand I'm going to die. You're going to die. I don't know what it feels like. Sometimes I think maybe it feels like sleep. Who knows? All of us going to go. Nobody's leaving this joint alive. Therefore, who are you afraid of right now? Like, who is this person who has power over you that you're afraid of doing what you want to do or living the life that feels good for you? Hmm? And why are you stopping yourself from enjoying life, enjoying the things you want to enjoy? You're going to die. I'm going to die. They died. They changed energetic form because they really didn't die. Okay? Their energy changed because clearly they're still alive in our conversation, our thoughts, our memories, spiritually. So, life is shorter than we all expect. Love the people you're with. Guard your energy. Everybody doesn't need to be your friend. Do what feels good. As long as what you're doing that's feeling good isn't breaking a law, it's not hurting somebody else, besides their feelings. Sometimes when we tell people no, their feelings get hurt. I'm not talking about that. Okay? So if it's moral, if it's ethical, go by the rules of life, yes, when you have to, but do what you want to do. You want to fly off to Japan? Fly off to Japan. You got the money. You want to go to Cabos, what do you call it? Cabo San Lucas? You want to go to Cancun? What's the name? Frontier has a sale on right now. Live your life. Live your life the best way you know how. Okay? When things really stop working and people don't want to do better, when people are mean and wicked and selfish, leave the people alone and explore other people who are good to you. It's okay. All right? So those are some of the lessons. Those are some of the lessons I have learned. You are worthy of being loved. I'm worthy of being loved. Yeah, like never let a person make you doubt who you are, like your value. Like they have a right to live their life. You too. Never let another person's words be so meaningful or impactful that it overrides your words because you decide for yourself. You decide. And that's something that's worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for. Okay? You are worth fighting for. So fight for yourself and fight for your life. Okay? So as I start wrapping up, Davis said, awesome live tonight, Doc. You truly enjoyed it. I'm happy you did, Davis. I'm happy you did. Look, yeah. We're going to have to do a little don't ask her on a straight tequila night. Yeah, we will have to do a jam session, Davis. Petra says her father was a great father, provider, kind, loving, and most times I just wish I could have gotten someone like him in my life. Yes. Am I selfish to want that kind of relationship? No, you're very clear about what you would prefer. There's nothing selfish. How can it be selfish to want a great father for your kids who's a provider and a kind and loving person most of the time? How is that selfish? That doesn't sound like selfish to me. That sounds very rational to me. Petra, that sounds very rational. And my encouragement would be, please investigate until You get this. If what comes to you is not that, that means that's not your fit. That's not your person. I heard Iyanla say one day that sometimes we have these clear ideas about who we are compatible with, but then Boo Boo the Fool shows up and we say yes to Boo Boo the Fool just because Boo Boo the Fool happens to be there. Because you're still going to be miserable with Boo Boo the Fool. Okay? It's better to be, in my view, unhappy, sad, or whatever, lonely by yourself than lonely and you're married. At least you don't have a what you call it, a thing that has to be broken or cause other pain. At least it's just you. What is it? I can do bad all by myself. If you're going to be bad without commitment to change, really, what's the point of it? If a person does not want to change their behavior, if you're saying this isn't good for me, that person might not have the capacity to love you the way that feels good for you. And that's okay. That's just information. That means they are better matched with the lady down the road. Who's okay with that? And that you might still be looking for a great father. I'm telling you, it's one of the lessons I learned. If a man or woman, if a person loves you, they will make the effort to learn how to do what feels good for you. They will make the effort, Petra. If they don't, they are just not your person. No judgment on them. They're not your person. And that's okay. It's just information. Hi, Toya. How are you? Toya says you can make the death more meaningful by establishing a foundation on the person's name. Example, if they supported children in the community, open a foundation on their name, still helping children. They have passed, but their legacy still lives on. That is beautiful. That's a way to keep your person alive, and that's a way to you transmute the pain energy into something positive. That's a way to transcend the pain and the trauma. Really, really way. It's a way to transmute energy. I heard somebody say recently that transmute, when you think about transmute, think of when we used to get up on Saturday and, all week, everybody's working, you're going to school, you're busy, you can't really clean your room, there's dust under the corners. You might have done a fast sweep, but you couldn't do a deep cleaning, right? And because work is how many kids want to work? But many families, what they would do is you put on some music, again, DBS would be blasting first thing on Saturday morning, music, dance music, and you're like, let's go, let's go, let's go, because you're energized. So that rage you might have felt that you have to do this hard work, the music helps your energy go higher, and you also clear out the dirty to bring clear Usa energy in your space. Okay, so that is what transmuting is. You change the nature and the form of a substance. Yes, never let, I think it's almost like a crime against yourself to let another person, another human being who has jurisdiction over their whole self already, to let them, what do you call that, encroach on your personhood. Never let another human being determine your worth. That is out of order. And people will use words that are meant to make you question yourself or make you question your sanity. They'll make you think, imagining things. What you do is you pay attention to, hey, how does that feel? If it keeps feeling yucky, something is wrong with it. Even if it's you that might be, let's suppose you're being overly sensitive, like they like to tell you, which is not a thing. There's no thing as overly sensitive. You're just feeling what you're feeling. Okay? So just let's suppose they were right and you were being overly sensitive. Like I said, it doesn't feel good for you. Mm? That person, whatever it is they're bringing to you, you just feel too much around them. Not a good fit, not compatible. Okay? Not a good fit. You need somebody with a lot less pressure and a lot less. All right? All right. Moms using the transparency. Look, doctor is a job I do. Doctor is skills I've learned. Doctor is a certain skill set. It's not me as a human being. So being a human being, look, there's certain universal things, man. There's certain experiences that all of us go through, and training or not, it's like this. A mechanic's car breaks down, a mechanic's car breaks down too. So yeah, so I'm a human being as well. Sometimes you think you've chosen well, but then it all falls apart. Yes, because sometimes life being life, some people get tired, lazy, don't want to, unwilling to keep making the adjustments over time. And that's just one of those things that happens. It might have been good for you 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, but if the person is not shifting and changing or really willing, again, people have a right to be willing or not. Some people stop being willing to do the work. Toya Joseph, or a scholarship in their name. Heavy says his sister is doing that in his mother's name in their village in Dominica for the needy. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Just look at all those buildings everywhere that are named after people. That's a way for that name to continue, for that energy of how that person lived their life to continue. Okay. Tizier, thank you, my dear, for showing up. I'm so thankful to you for being transparent and doing the work, because again, life is going to hurt because it's life. That's the nature of life. But and life can make us affront way. It can really decapitate us. But there are ways to get back in balance, and it's painful either way. It's more painful though when we don't do the work, because it's more work to climb up out of the abyss than it is to like balance, until you get your footing again of strength so that you can just keep moving up. Okay? So try your best to do the work. All right, my people. Thank you, Toya. Toya says, I love your program. Thank you, Toya. I appreciate you for showing up and participating. And you said, when they are not willing to change, the relationship really drains you. It must, because you're putting out all this energy. You're putting it out, but you're not getting a reciprocation. So you're just emptying yourself into an unreceptive, or like they're just gobbling you up. Next thing, you dry it out. You see people, you see people physically respond in certain relationships where you got this Dominico hale, face drained, just beat up emotionally, psychologically. We got to talk about. I'll include the pieces of verbal and psychological, emotional abuse with the communication systems we really must learn, and those problems, those bad communication styles, those unhelpful, they're not working. They just put us in a state of gridlock or separation. And if you can see a thing, then again, you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it. and you know why you should stop, you also know what to do instead. You also know what to do instead. Okay? Toya, you always feel empowered listening to me. I appreciate you, my dear. Um, keep listening, share the live, read the books that I suggest when they're not willing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we gotta do better asking for what we need, what feels better for us. We also gotta do better at saying, okay, that's enough. I've said what I need enough. Hmm? I will end with this. The people who love you and who think you're valuable enough to them, they put forth the energy. Okay? So for those of you who want to learn more about my work, go to drtriffy.com. Dr. Triffy is TRIPHI. So DRIPHI.com. If you're a hypnotherapist enthusiast, or if you're a mental health professional, or if you're a graduate student in any of the healing professions and you want to learn how to become a hypnotherapist, go to my website. I had a spring session planned, but life wanted me to chill and do this for now. So it put all of these experiences of last year in my way. But in the summer, I resumed classes. Okay. This week, I am joining Moki and Friends podcast to talk about grief. So Moki lost his little girl when she was about 9 months old. 9 months old. How do men deal with losing their babies? Hmm? Yeah. So we're just talking about grief and loss and how to live because it's not going away, y'all. Okay, this person died right now. Other people gonna die. Like my mom died. Look what I just went through last year. Life doesn't care, Life is not about. Life is not. Hey, okay, I'm gonna spare you. No, you're alive. It's gonna happen. So we have to learn how to manage, okay, and not just lose ourselves. So this week, look out for Transforming Trauma podcast. I'm going to start reading some books that have changed my life. I'm going to start reading some books that have changed my life. And there'll be psychological books and spiritual books. And you can tune in. I'd love it if you tuned in. I might do that on a Wednesday. And then I'll be doing maybe a chapter, paragraph, a verse, and we talk about it. I will give you like the names of the books because you all know, well, people who know me from time know I like to read. So a lot of me has changed for the better, I think, over time because I just read a lot. And I think also besides reading, it's about knowing that sometimes just one idea is all you need to transform, just one sentence in a book, one sentence, and it hits you in a certain way, and you realize, oh, this could revolutionize my life. So I want to share those with you. And then I'm going to start doing more of my travel therapy. I've got to tell you all my top 5 from Sarasota. I went to Sarasota with the boys for spring break. Feel free to join me. DM me if you're interested in sharing some of your travel stories. I would love to have you share. And I think a lot of people are getting value from that. I think we don't realize how much we can help each other with our stories. And I want to take advantage of that in the sense of I want to keep doing that and see, hey, if it's helpful for you, if it's bringing some joy, if it's bringing some entertainment, something positive, I'm all for it. This week, Lord willing and life willing, I am headed to Fort Lauderdale. It is travel therapy, but training. I'm going to learn how to use sound to heal. Okay, so I will share a little bit more as the week goes. And I want to wish you all a happy rest of your Easter Sunday. All right. Abundance. Abundance is not for one set. Abundance came for all of us. It's your divine right. Okay. So let's make it happen together. Bye. Peace. Have a good night.